Namaskar. Hello and welcome to Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. This is Daily Global Insights, episode 361. Much happening around the world, and I am now joined by my co-host Sridhar Chityala ji. Sridhar ji, namaskar and welcome to Guru's channel, sir.
Namaskar. Good morning to everybody, and looking forward to another exciting week.
Sridhar ji, is the world headed towards economic and geopolitical chaos? That's our headline. We're starting with that. Kind of wrap up for us a little bit on what's happening. We know now Ukraine is being bombarded by Russia for what they did to their bridge. So, sir, what is happening?
Well, I think we are in the middle of, we talked about in the markets yesterday, the economic chaos that is gripping the world. So now we are into the geopolitical chaos, which is causing much of the angst and the hardships. So let's start with, if we go to Russia-Ukraine, the situation. The latest news as we speak right now is that the center of Kiev, even Lviv, and other eastern provinces has witnessed, massive missile attacks, which is now being reported by the mayors. Though not yet acknowledged by Russia, one can safely take it that it is a Russian retaliation against the attacks that very clearly Vladimir Putin has called it as terrorism, especially blowing up the bridge. And it's also now clear that the sabotage, it was a sabotage, and which is clearly on the laps of Ukrainians, the Nord Stream pipe 1. So instead of trying to find a solution to this problem, all we are witnessing is that more ammunition being supplied and Ukraine being encouraged somehow that they can win this battle. It's very unfortunate, but I think we are getting into a situation where unless there's some sane mind comes in and intervenes, more disaster is ahead of us, Sriji.
Sridharji, quickly to touch upon this, Elon Musk had suggested a few things in a tweet, and Ukraine basically said no. They just brushed it aside. Was that too soon? Do you think they could have given it a little bit more thought?
But Ukraine is constantly being encouraged that somehow they can win this war. Now, we have seen historically there are no winners. There's only losers and losers in a war. So Ukraine is fighting an asymmetric battle. Both Biden and Zelensky escalated the matter by saying that, hey, we're going to have an imminent nuclear attack that is coming from Putin, which prompted Macron to kind of asked all the leaders to tone down the rhetoric. So unless Zelensky, is brought to some kind of sanity and senses and said, come on, negotiate, and there has to be some give, some take, which is not in a position, which is not prepared to concede at this point of time, but very soon he may need to, I think that this will go on. I don't think, in my humble view, I don't think Vladimir Putin is just going to walk away.
Sridharji, North Korea has just tested another missile, which they think or which they claim that it is actually nuclear capable. Do you think they are also trying to rattle the saber? What is their beef in all this?
I think the North Korean leader is a very interesting man, and the one guy who read him right is Donald Trump, the previous president. He kind of told him, look, you are allowed to do what you're doing and play around with your people. As long as your toys stay within, we will kind of respect you, salute you, and, we treat you with, great pomp and show. And he received him with pomp and show. And remember, everything went quiet once that happened. So here you basically threaten Russia, you threaten China, and then you have now the present South Korean president rather than Moon Jae. He is very sympathetic both to Japan and United States, and he wants to saber rattle. So you have the United States and the Koreans conducting exercises. And what does our man do in North Korea? First, he fires ballistic missiles, at Japan. Then now he is beginning to fire all kinds of missiles, including nuclear capable. Lo and behold, United Nations says, which we covered a couple of months ago in Daily Global Insights, that there is an imminent nuclear detonation underground, under the sea water detonation that's likely to be done by North Koreans, and that's being confirmed. So all he does, he conducts a massive launch of a weapon. He says this is a precursor to this shower of weapons that will swoon on South Korea, and should they do anything silly. So he's saber rattling. Again, nobody is talking to him. So we have, and this guy does it, by the way. He's not like anybody else. He has been constantly firing. He even fired at the United States, if you go back some time ago, until President Trump kind of intervened. So I think we have problems looming in the Korean Peninsula, Sriji.
And crude imports jumped to 30 million euros for China and also 40 million euros to India. Sir, is it million or billion, sir?
Million for 2 months.
For 2 months, okay. So the period was 2 months. Yeah. So, so I thought that India was moving away from Russia again. Not true?
No, we said that yesterday in the market story, which is namely to say, India will buy oil from anyone, including Russia, to buffer itself against the economic hazards, because that is the number one line item, the import duties and import subsidies that India incurs on its balance sheet. So natural that India has chosen to import. Yes, in the last 2 months, the increase in Russian oil imports is by 17% in China, and about 5 times in the case of India, reflecting that Russia continues to receive money to fund its war machinery. It is not short of money, whereas in the case of Ukraine, you need to have resources from other nations. So Russia is well equipped, and the world is willing to support because they have what the world needs, which is the energy.
Sridharji, back in US, you are now still continuing to be buffeted by domestic front, lawlessness, illegal immigrants still coming in. And there's a looming economic crisis also. We are seeing that the stock market is on a run. What exactly is President Biden doing, sir?
I think President Biden is issuing lots of press statements, which is contradicting each other. Remember, he said that there's no inflation. Then after he said there's inflation, he blamed Russia for inflation. Then when he was asked about the issues, well, there will be inflation because we have supply chain problems. So you have a president of the nation who is simply acknowledging and restating some of the facts. There's nothing that demonstrates to anyone which prompted Trump to say United States has lost the confidence of the world. It's no longer an inspiring nation. On the contrary, United States is going to push the world to the brink or almost an inevitable World War III. So what we have is, besides a global crisis that we touched on, where the United States has a footprint on every aspect of it, now we have a huge domestic crisis, which we'll cover on another day, Daily Global Insights. The crime rates have alarmingly increased across many states. Every day there's some incident. So you have crime rates, you have economic crisis, you have illegals, you have the bus ferrying that is still going on, and there is no action initiated on the energy front to lift the sanctions and restrictions that the Biden administration has imposed. Now, we have a supply chain issue. What we are dealing with is a fiscal solution a monetary solution that we touched on yesterday. And you asked me a question, what's the fiscal? There's nothing. There is zero on the fiscal side in the United States.
That's what I was afraid of. And India's rupee versus dollar exchange rate is expected to fall further and cross 83 rupees to a dollar. Sridharji, quickly give us a prognosis of why this is happening and the fact that there is a global slowdown.
Well, I think that United States, India's currency is, most of the exports is linked to US dollars. So therefore, that's number one. Number two, that with the rising rates in United States, interest rates, that has a natural consequence on the appreciation of the US dollar to all other currencies which we showed. To some extent, India has fared relatively better relative to the other currencies. So India is going to continue to see the appreciation of the rupee. India's exports, which is an indicator of a positive momentum, India's exports is dipping. The last 2 months, India's exports have dipped because of economic contraction that is taking place in the rest of the world. So there's no demand. So that also is creating a problem in terms of the currency issue that India is facing today.
Thank you very much, Sridharji. That wraps up today's program of DGI, and we'll be back again tomorrow, bright and early. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.